You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 27. Wusong astonishes the prisoners, the Kuaihua forest is restored to Shi-En. Zhang Qing said, as you are on your way to be imprisoned we can kill your escort, and then you can stay here for some time. If you are willing to become a bandit I will go with you to the Lianglong mountain, where we can make the acquaintance of Luda and join his band. It is very good of you to arrange for me this way, but there is another matter. I have always been keen on fighting against strong men, but those two soldiers have treated me quite well on the road, so that if I now ill-treat them heaven will not tolerate it. If you admire me I hope you will at once help them to recover instead of injuring them. Drill instructor, you are an upright man, and I must save these men's lives, said Zhang Qing. He thereupon ordered 2 waiters to release the soldiers lying on the bench. Sun Er-nyang, the night witch, prepared the antidote and gave it to Zhang Qing, who forced it down the throats of the unconscious soldiers. In less than an hour the soldiers recovered as from a dream and got up. They recognized Wusong and asked him, "How did we get drunk in this place? The wine must have been so good." "We did not drink much, so how did we get drunk? We must remember this place so that we can have some more of this wine on our way home." Wusong, Zhang Qing, and Sun Er-nyang all laughed upon hearing this, but the 2 soldiers did not understand why. The 2 waiters killed a chicken and a goose, and after cooking them brought them in with wine and other food. Zhang Qing told the servants to arrange a table under the vine frame in the garden at the back, and then requested Wusong and the 2 soldiers to go there and partake of the feast. Wusong asked the 2 soldiers to take the seats of honor, and he and Zhang Qing sat down opposite to them, while Sun Er-nyang took her seat at the side of the table. The 2 servants served the wine and food. It was evening before they had finished the meal, and then Zhang Qing brought out the monks' swords for Wusong to inspect. It was indeed made of excellent steel, and must have taken a long time in making. The 2 men talked about bandit adventures, killing of men, and incendiarism. "There is a Shandong man called Song Jiang, nicknamed Welcome Rain," said Wusong, "who has sought refuge just now with Squire Chai." The 2 soldiers upon hearing such talk were astonished, and rising kowtowed to Wusong. Wusong spoke to them, "You 2 treated me well on the road, so I will never ill-treat you. We are only speaking about bandits and robbers, so you need not be afraid. We certainly would not injure good men like you. Take no notice of what we say, but just drink your wine, and tomorrow when we reach Mengzhou I will reward you." They stayed at that place for the night, but next morning when Wusong wanted to depart, Zhang Qing was not willing to let him go. He gave way and stayed there for 3 days more. At last he recognized the generosity of Zhang Qing and his wife. Zhang Qing was 9 years older than Wusong, and therefore he adopted the latter as his younger brother. At last when Wusong decided to depart, Zhang Qing prepared the parting cup of wine, and bade him farewell, and gave him about 10 taels, and the 2 soldiers about 3 taels of silver. Wusong gave his silver to the soldiers, and put on again his kang. Upon leaving, Wusong could not avoid shedding tears at the kindness received from Zhang Qing and his wife. Wusong and his escort reached Mengzhou the following morning. They went straight to the yamen, and presented the dispatch from Dongping Prefecture. After the magistrate had perused the dispatch, he wrote a reply, handed it to the soldiers who returned to Dongping. Wusong was sent to the prison, but just as he got to the entrance he noticed a signboard with the 3 characters, "Onping Stockade." He was put in a cell by himself. He had not been there long before about 10 men in the adjoining cell came to speak to him saying, "Kind sir, if you have any letters of recommendation, or any money, you must not forget to hand them to the man who will come to search you. If you give him money he will see that the blows with the bamboo are only light, but if he gets no money the blows will be extremely severe. We are criminals like yourself, and therefore tell you what to expect. Do you not know the saying, when the hare dies the fox mourns, and so animals grieve for their kind? As you have only just arrived we thought it better to tell you about this." "I am much obliged to you for the information," said Wusong. "I have something at my side, and if the man is polite to me I will give it to him." But if he demands anything I will not give him a cent. A prisoner said, Sir, you should not talk like that. There is an ancient saying, fear not the authorities, except those that have authority over you. When you are under the eaves of a low house you have to bend your head. It would be better if you took a little care. While he was saying this another prisoner called out, Here comes the head jailer. At this all the prisoners dispersed. Wusong fastened his belt and sat down in his cell. Soon the head jailer entered and asked, Where is that new prisoner? I am the man, replied Wusong. Well, you seem to have eyes, ears, and yet you have got to be told, said the head jailer. You are the man who killed a tiger on Jinyang Ridge, and was a drill instructor at Yanggu County, so I suppose you know how matters are arranged. How dare you come here where I am? There is not even a cat here that you dare beat. Did you come here to talk and expect me to give you something? Asked Wusong. But I have not got anything to give you except my 2 fists. I have, however, a little silver, but I shall want that to buy food and wine for myself. So what shall you do? How would it do if you took me back to Yanggu County? The head jailer retired in an angry mood, and immediately the prisoners crowded forward and said, Sir, you treated him roughly, and it won't be long before you are in trouble. He will certainly go and speak to the warden of the jail, and put an end to your life. I am not afraid, replied Wusong, let him try and do his worst. Civility meets civility, violence meets violence. While he was saying this about 4 jailers came and entering his cell called out in a loud voice, Now, where is that new prisoner Wusong? To which Wusong replied, I am here. I will not go away. But why do you shout like that? The men did not reply to this, but took him away to the inspection office where the warden was seated. About 6 soldiers took charge of him, and placed him in front of the warden who ordered that the cane be removed. The warden then addressed him. Prisoner, are you aware of the old decrees of the Emperor Taizu, that the newly arrived exile should receive 100 severe blows with the bamboo? There is no need for many men to be employed in that, said Wusong. If you want to beat me there will be no need for men to hold me down. If I flinch from a single blow I forfeit my reputation of being a tiger killer. You need not be too careful in keeping account of the blows as it won't matter if there are a few extra. If I make any noise I forfeit my name of being the brave man of Yanggu County. The bystanders laughed at this, and one said, This foolish fellow is looking for death. We shall see how he can stand the torture. Wusong continued, Make the blows as hard as you like, show no kindness to me. I shall not be pleased if you show me any favor. The audience on both sides again laughed. 2 men seized the bamboo, and shouted as he advanced. Standing at the side of the prefect, however, was a very tall man of about 25 years of age. He had a fair complexion and a small beard of 3 tufts. He wore a white crepe girdle round his waist. That man whispered something into the warden's ear who then spoke, Prisoner Wusong, what illness had you on the way to this place? I had no illness at all, but just drank and ate on the journey. This man must have been taken ill on the road, judging by his appearance, said the warden, so perhaps I ought to postpone beating him with the bamboo. The 2 men who were ordered to beat him whispered to Wusong, You say at once that you are sick. The warden wishes to show mercy to you. You better offer an excuse. I am not sick, said Wusong. I do not want to stop them from beating me. Let them beat me and so finish the matter. If they don't do it now, I shall always be expecting it. The audience and also the warden laughed at this, and the latter said, I think that he must have a fever, and he is talking in this delirious way because he has not had a good sweat to get the fever out. We will not listen to what he says now, and put him in solitary confinement. About 4 soldiers took him back to his cell, where all the other prisoners crowded outside and asked, Did your friend write a letter to the warden? Wusong denied this and they continued, In that case it is not good, because they will now come in the night and kill you. How will they kill me? They will bring you 2 big bowls of rice, and after you have eaten that, they will take you inside the prison. There they will swathe you tightly in cordage, stop up your nostrils, ears, and mouth, and then turn you upside down and leave you against the wall. In less than an hour you will be dead." What else might they do? The prisoners replied, "They might bind you with ropes, and then get a sandbag and press it tightly on your body. Again, if they do that you will die in less than an hour." "Have they any other way of killing me?" asked Wusong. "Those two are what most men are afraid of, and the others are not as bad." While they were speaking, a soldier came bearing a basket and asked where drill instructor Wusong was. Wusong laughed and said, "Here I am. What have you to say?" The man replied that the warden had sent some refreshment for him. Wusong looked and saw a bowl of wine, a plate of meat, a bowl of vermicelli, and a bowl of soup. He wondered what their plan was in sending him such food. He thought it better to partake of the meal and wait for developments. He did this and had soon finished the food. The soldier took all the vessels away, and then Wusong sat down and soliloquized, "I wonder what they will do next." When it was nearly dark, the head jailer came with a round box and said, "I am sent here with your supper." Wusong saw that there was vegetable, wine, meat, fish soup, and rice. He thought, "Surely they will kill me after I have eaten this meal. If I eat all this and then die, I shall at least be a well-fed ghost. Let they do what they may. After supper I will think of some scheme." The soldier waited until Wusong had finished the meal, and then removed the dishes. But he soon came back with another soldier, one carrying a tub, and the other a bucket full of hot water, and they asked Wusong to take a bath. Wusong thought that they would kill him after the bath. "But I am not afraid of them, so I will take my bath." The soldiers emptied the hot water in the tub, and Wusong had his bath. When finished, he was supplied with a towel and told to dress. One soldier emptied the water and took the tub and towel back. The other soldier spread the gauze silk mosquito net, arranged the cool bedding and pillow, and then withdrew. Wusong put the bar across the door, and then sat down to think matters over. What is their intention in all this? Let them do as they like. I will watch the proceedings. So he went to sleep, and nothing happened during the night. He was awake quite early, and opening the door of his cell he saw the same soldier who had waited on him the previous night, and he had now brought a basin of water for Wusong to wash his face. He had also brought a cup of cold water, with which Wusong rinsed his mouth. A barber came and dressed Wusong's long hair into a knot on the top of his head, and then enclosed the knot in a small hood. Still another man entered with his breakfast of rice, meat soup, and vegetables. He ate his breakfast, and then drank a cup of tea. Just then the man who brought the food asked him to remove to another cell, which was much more convenient, and would save time at meal. He agreed to this, and the servant took him to another room, and when the door was opened he saw that the apartment was very clean, and the bed nice and tidy. The furniture appeared to be quite new. But Wusong was still perplexed as to why they had brought him to such a comfortable place. The room was very much better than the place he had been in. He sat down there until noon, when a man brought him a jug of wine with 4 kinds of fruit, roasted chicken, and some steamed buns. The man took the chicken in his hands, and tore it into small pieces. He poured out the wine, arranged the chopsticks, and invited Wusong to dine. Wusong was however still perplexed as to the mystery of all this fine treatment. In the evening they brought his supper, and allowed him to enjoy the cool in the open. He could not help but think of what the other prisoners had predicted, so this treatment made him more and more perplexed. During the 3rd day he was treated in the same way, and he even went for a stroll in the prison yard after breakfast. He saw many prisoners in the sun cutting firewood, carrying water, and doing various odd jobs. It was a very hot day in the 6th lunar month, and he was sorry that they had no shade from the heat of the sun's rays. Walking up to them with his hands behind his back, he asked why they worked in the sun. They laughed at the question, and one man replied, "Sir, we have been sent here to work, and this place is like heaven compared with some other places. We should not care to think that this place is too hot. Many prisoners are not so well treated, but remain chained up in cells, and whether they wish to live or die makes no difference." Wu Song walked away to the prison shrine to the King of Heaven, where by an urn for burning papers he noticed a large stone block which had a hole in the center to hold a staff. He took his seat on it for some time, and then returned to his apartment, where a servant brought his food again. But we need not go into the details of his daily life. For several days he got his food and wine, and he was still doubtful as to the outcome of it. But one day he could not endure this suspicion any longer, so when the servant brought his food he asked him who was his master, and how it was that he sent him nice food every day. The man replied that he had previously told Wu Song that he was the confidential servant of the warden. But who tells you to bring me this food and wine every day? It is the warden's son who instructs me to do this. But I am a criminal and I have not done anything for the warden's son, so why does he treat me in this way? That I do not know. But he told me that after 3 months like this he would explain matters fully. How strange. It seems to me that they are just feeding me so as to fatten me ready for killing. It is quite a riddle, and how can I guess its real meaning? How can I eat the food with ease, if the matter is not explained clearly? What kind of man is your young master, and where did we meet before? If I knew that, I might eat the food with contentment. He is the same man who stood on the right of the warden with his forehead wrapped in white cloth when your case first came into court. So he is that man? When I was on the point of being beaten he said something to the warden, and thus saved me from that, I suppose. That is so, said the man. How strange. I am a Qinghe County man, whereas he is a Mengzhou man, and as we are not acquainted with each other, how is it that he treats me like this? I think he must have a reason for this, but what is it? But I ask you one more question, what is his name? He is Sure-En with the nickname, Golden-Eyed Tiger Cub. He is skillful with the cudgels. He must be a good fellow. You go and request him to come here, and have an interview with me. When he does that, then I will partake of his food. If you won't go and ask him to meet me, then I won't eat any more. But he told me also that I was not to speak with you much, as after about 3 months he would come and explain matters to you himself. Don't talk nonsense. You go and ask him to come here now, and that will settle the matter. The man was afraid, and was unwilling to do this. Seeing this, Wu Song was vexed, and sprang up. The man at once withdrew to carry out the request. After quite a long time Sure-En came hurriedly, and upon seeing Wu Song knelt down. Wu Song ran forward to raise him up, and said, I am a criminal, and have not had the honor of meeting you before. A few days ago I was beholden to you for saving me from a beating, and since then I have been honored by your kindly sending me food and wine. This you ought not to have done. You have not given me any work to do, so I am a useless fellow, and in eating your food I feel guilty and uneasy. I have long heard of your name like a crash of thunder, said Sure-En. But unfortunately we have ever been separated by impassable roads, so that I could not meet you. Fortunately we meet today, and I must pay you respect. I am sorry that as I had no suitable presents for you, I did not dare to approach you before. Your servant told me that in about 3 months you would have something definite to say to me. Now, what is it you wish to say? My servant was simply outspoken to your question, but he did not know anything about the matter. How could he talk in that reckless manner? You evade my question with literary skill. But why not tell me now instead of leaving me in a melancholy frame of mind? Please speak outright. Do you want me to do something? As the servant has said this, I will tell you. As you are a great hero and a straightforward man, I have one thing to request you to do for me, which nobody else can do. But you came from a good distance, and must have been tired upon your arrival here, and have not had time to regain your strength. So if you will now rest for a few months to restore your strength, I will tell you something when you are in better form. Wu Song burst into loud laughter upon hearing this, and said, Last year I was very ill with fever for 3 months, but when passing Jingyang Ridge I being somewhat tipsy killed a tiger with only 3 blows of my fist and a couple of kicks. Am I not better today than on that occasion? I cannot tell you about the affair just now. We had better wait until you are quite in good health, and then I will tell you. But why do you think that I am not strong now? Well, yesterday I was at the King of Heaven's shrine, and saw there a large boulder. What is the weight of that? I am afraid that it may be about 400 jin in weight, said Shirin. I will go there with you to see whether I can lift it or not. Let us finish our wine, and then I will go with you, said Shirin. I would rather go first and drink the wine when we come back, replied Wusong. So they both went to the King of Heaven's shrine, and when they arrived the prisoners there stood to attention, and gave salutations. Wusong took hold of the boulder, and moved it. He laughed and said, I am now so delicate that I cannot move it? That is a very heavy stone, and you cannot make little of it, said Shirin. So you really think I cannot lift it up? All of you get out of the way, and watch me lift it. He then took off his upper garments, and tied them round his waist, and easily lifted the stone up. He threw it away, and it fell with a thud on the ground, making a hole about a foot deep. All the bystanders were thunderstruck at this. But Wusong had not finished. He now seized the stone with one hand, drew it out of the hole, and hurled it about 10 feet high. As it fell he caught it in both hands, and gently placed it in its original place. He immediately turned round and faced the crowd of spectators, and they could see that his face was not red, his heart was not palpitating, and that he was not out of breath from his exertion. Shirin embraced Wusong and paid his respects, kneeling to Wusong, and said, Elder brother, you are an extraordinary man. You have supernatural powers. The prisoners standing round also knelt down, and saluted Wusong, saying, You really have supernatural powers. Shirin took Wusong to his private apartment, where they sat down. Wusong said, Now I hope, sir, that you will tell me what that business is. Wait a little, until my father comes, when I will tell you all about it, replied Shirin. If you want to tell me to do a thing, then don't act in such a childish way, said Wusong. This does not look manly. Even if it is a matter of the sword, I can do it. If I refuse to do a man's job, then I am no longer a man. Shirin clasped his hands over his heart, and told Wusong about the affair which involved killing of men, and equaled in grandeur the killing of a tiger. He raised his fists, the thunder roared, and wind and rain were shaken.